Welcome to Two Balls and a Mic, where we are once again at our episodes. Today is Thanksgiving when we release this, so happy Dia del Pavo to those who celebrate. As a little bonus for the day, we're going to go ahead and have a wonderful interview. His second time appearing on the show. You know him as El Jefe de Comunicaciones for San Diego Loyal. But today, he's a super fan for the U.S. national team. And we're here to be Mexico apologists. Please go ahead and welcome the great Jesse Beltran. Jesse, how are you doing, man?
What's up, guys? I don't think the word, I guess you do have to defend Mexico, right, to an extent. But yeah, no, thank you guys for having me on. Obviously, chatting U.S.-Mexico is always something I enjoy doing for various reasons. Typically, I'm on the wrong side of this, you can say. It's changed over the last couple of months, you can say. And I think this is how we got to this point, right, Tony? We were chatting via text and having a pretty good discussion.
Yeah.
A non-biased discussion, to be honest with you. Just things I've mentioned in the past and they're coming to fruition, which is obviously not good for Mexico fans as a whole.
and that's something that I like to have. It's a non-biased discussion. I don't know how non-biased Chiba can be, but I might come off
I can be non-biased
as a U.S. men's national team sympathizer, or I'm not entirely sure.
Me lo están cambiando el Tony. Like he's becoming a U.S. fan, and that's your plan, huh, Jesse?
I've never been surrounded by so many U.S. fans
I think we let him out of training every week. You know?
Wait, estoy con veo a Landon and he's
you
like,
guys
hey,
are winning him over.
You
guys are winning him over.
He was pretty good, I guess. He's pretty funny. But yeah, so you're right. We were talking about, obviously this last World Cup qualifying match was, we kept moving the goalposts as a Mexican fans. Is like, you know what? It was just a national league, League of Nations. I don't even know the name of it. Nations League tournament. No vale madre. They just made it up. The Gold Cup. All right, sure, but there's no confederations anymore. So pa qué? Okay. But World Cup qualifier. You guys watch as the game that matters. 2-0. Again.
What was that? What was the score?
2-0. It's so weird, like a score line that's just so, known at this point, and it's always on that side. It's kind of annoying, Jesse. But tell us, I mean, you've been on the U.S. men's national team wagon for a while, and it's not easy being from, similar cultures and being raised as a soccer fan, by Mexicans or Latinos. How do you do it? First of all, and congratulations, I guess. You guys swept us 3 games in the entire year. How does that feel?
It feels really good, to be honest. No, especially going into a busy year, as we all knew. Obviously, the international windows were going to be a little crazy with all the different tournaments and obviously qualifying, all that. So it's been good to see the boys get the results against Mexico in itself, but be at a better place now than they were obviously going into the previous World Cup where they didn't qualify. So I'm feeling good. Obviously, there's some results I wish could be different, as I think most fans outside of Canada would say, I guess, in the CONCACAF. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens, obviously, going into 2022 with a little bit of a different year when it comes to World Cup. But it's setting up to be a really good January and on, you can say. So we'll be looking at that. To your point, it's really tough, you can say, to be a person of Mexican descent, obviously, and really proud of being of Mexican descent and rooting for the U.S. That's just how I got into soccer, to be honest. U.S. soccer was the hook, per se. They got me really passionate about the sport, and more importantly, of just what it means to follow the sport and what it means to fight for your country when it comes to the sport. So I think some of the things we talked about, obviously, the U.S. hasn't had the same luxuries as Mexico when it comes to fandom and support. So seeing that come to fruition and slowly start picking up, I think, is a big deal for a U.S. soccer fan, and we're seeing it come to life now.
Did you ever get a lot of backlash from friends and family, like being a U.S. fan, or was your environment a lot of U.S. fans as well?
Come on, don't be like that. Call him tell me what you said the other day. Not him exactly, but those fans. ¿Cómo se dicen?
¿Cuál?
What do you call them? The fans
de no sabo?
No sabo fans. So, I mean, that's kind of like,
Sabo.
No, I've always wondered, like, did you get a lot of backlash? Because I mean, I know some people like that I went to high school that are U.S. fans, but I always gave them shit.
Yeah.
I always gave him shit.
I was gonna say before I answer the question would be, how would you handle being around someone like me, right? That roots to the U.S. as a Mexican, and obviously you answer that. For me, obviously, to be honest, like I was probably in the worst situation of all. I was the program director at ESPN Deportes in Fresno, where obviously ESPN Deportes 90% of our programming was soccer. We hosted World Cups, or aired World Cups and CONCACAF Gold Cups and all the tournaments that there are. So, and it was a 90% Hispanic at their station, because we had 5 stations, 3 of which were Mexican regional plus a sports station, obviously in Spanish. So I got a lot of it. I got a lot of crap. You can say just for rooting for US being of Mexican descent. That was thing that they would always say, wait, why do you go for the US if you're Mexican? I'm like, yeah, I just fell in love watching US soccer. I'm born in the United States. It's just what I fell in love with. And I don't, obviously from a cultural standpoint, I have nothing against being Mexican, obviously, but from a sport competitive standpoint, like, and I get people in this office now telling me like, wait, how do you not root for Mexico ever? I'm like, I just can't. I just feel weird from a rivalry standpoint, Chivas, America, like there's no chance. Like, I don't care if it's good for the CONCACAF, like it just doesn't make sense to me. So it's tough to root. Like in 2018, when Mexico was obviously representing the CONCACAF, one of the teams, and US not being there, which was agonizing. I try to root for Mexico. Like I felt like a fake. I just couldn't, like, watching that game against Germany, I was like, hey, this is a pretty good performance.
Yeah.
I was cheering, but at the same time, I'm like, I feel like I'm acting right now. It doesn't even stop.
And then when they won that game, I mean, highlight.
Yeah, it was a good performance. At the end of the day, like, I'm gonna be a realistic person, right? Mexico over US for the most part, and has been the trend. And from a quality standpoint, all aspects of soccer, they obviously are ahead of US. I think that trend is slowly turning, and we'll get more into why I think that and why I've been talking about that since I was on the radio back in Fresno a couple years ago. So,
because that's the thing.
I was not a very popular person, to be honest, I guess, to answer your question.
I mean, in this community now, seeing how many U.S. soccer fans,
there's a lot more.
There's a lot more, and I think they're more on your side.
Jerry's one of them.
One of them. I mean, and that's, we see it on our posts whenever we do a poll on Twitter and then on Instagram. Twitter is mostly local supporters that follow us and U.S. fans. So we get U.S. is going to win. But on Instagram, we got friends, more raza, and it's always Mexico winning on Instagram.
And you see, the thing for me is, before growing up, if Mexico lost to the U.S., no había pedo. Like, nobody was going to talk shit or give anything. Everyone's Mexicans. Now that I know a lot of more people that are U.S. fans, now it hurts more. And I hate that it's now that I'm getting a taste of my own medicine. Exactly.
Yeah, and like it's crazy to think that wasn't that long ago. I mean, the U.S. missed the last World Cup, and I think that's the difference between Mexico right now and the U.S. That the U.S. isn't afraid to go out there and try something new and just tear stuff down all the way down. They tried, and I kind of like what ¿cómo se llama este vato? I was gonna say Beckenbauer. El alemán, the guy that came over for the U.S. and tried.
Klinsmann.
Jürgen Klinsmann, yeah. So I liked what he brought because it was something different, and he tried to bring structure to the U.S. Ultimately, and didn't end up coming out into fruition like they wanted. But you can tell, okay, so they're trying something new. They're starting from the bottom, from the academy. They're implementing things that usually in Europe gives dividends to future stars, and this is what you're kind of seeing now, the development of some of those kids. Like 25, is it? 25 players in the biggest clubs in Europe compared to 7 at Mexico.
Which is unheard of, right?
It's unheard of, and not only unheard of, but like it's impressive. And we're still happy with our 7, and we count them.
I'm not happy.
You're not happy, obviously.
We keep starting them. Like, we shouldn't be starting Herrera or Guardado. Like, what is that?
Who are you going to start? There's nobody to start.
There's better players in the Mexican league.
Where the U.S. is, here's where I get in trouble with the Mexican fans now. Like, the U.S. has a good, base, and a solid base, and they can have some players interchange here and there. We saw it with Tim Way, Sabato. You don't have Gio Reyna out there. That team still's missing Gio Reyna. Like, it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Who else were you guys missing in this game, Chelsea?
I think that was one of them, obviously.
Jorginho, Dest.
Des was out,
Dest.
yep. And then I guess Brooks technically, right? But
Hmm.
the thing, to your point, like we have a lot of young, like a lot of depth and core now, and they're all young. And I think it goes back to, and I think a point, I saw something earlier this week on Tuesday with the Champions League. 7 U.S. players played in Champions League on Tuesday. Like you talked about 7 total in Mexico playing in Europe, and there are 7 on the same day playing in the Champions League. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
To the point where like the 20-something players in Europe is a big deal, but like seeing 7 in Champions League on the same day is something we have never.
Well, one of them lost
you
4-0.
thought Mexico
So.
would hit that before US would.
Yes, one of them did lose 4-0 to my Chelsea. Not that Pulisic did anything in that game, or as he's known in at your workplace, Jesse, Chris. I've heard Lionel just like, oh, hey, is Chris playing today? Like Esteban, like he fucking knows it. It's wild. It's so surreal. So I mean, why is this? You've said you've been calling this and you've been seeing it, the long con from the U.S. So why is it finally working out now for the U.S.? And even then, like the golden generation is getting overshadowed a little bit by Canada, who they're having an out of nowhere, kind of performance. But still, I think the U.S. is here to stay for now, I think. But why, Jesse?
Yeah, I think they just built a good foundation, right? Like things that you've talked about, the structural changes that they had early on. I think they're still far away from what the potential or where it should be, right? We know there's a lot of issues with just the youth programs and things of that nature, pay to play, all those other little topics that you can touch on that are big impact in the growth. But I think the small micro changes in that area have obviously yielded good results. And we're seeing it now. And I think not being afraid to take chances, like you said, not getting comfortable. But the biggest thing is the economic power that comes from soccer, as we know, worldwide, and the US focusing on that area. I think there's other aspects too that I guess the changes in the American sports culture, right? Football being too dangerous, NFL players not wanting their kids to play that sport anymore. So little things like that make it huge gains, I guess, to the sport of soccer in the landscape. And the sport of soccer, as you can say, as traditional and very an old sport worldwide, it's a very young sport in the US. And I think that's the biggest reason that it's slowly starting to pick up steam in America. And I think the financial gain, I think, is the biggest reason why there's so much investment into the infrastructure of all aspects of soccer in the US. And I think that's why you're starting to see it now. Something I used to talk on the radio and with friends back in Fresno when we discussed it, because I was always the odd man out, obviously. And I would say, I think the next time one of the 2 teams from CONCACAF go further is going to be Mexico, or US is going to be US. And people never saw it that way. I would be that guy saying El Grande de la CONCACAF is the US, right? I was saying that 5 years ago. It wasn't the case. But there was moments that the US showcased that, but they weren't consistent to what they have been doing the last year and some change, right? So I think that's where they're at, and I think it's only building. We see them having some rotations with depth, and guys are still performing at that level. So it's, to your point, I think it's here to stay. I think it's going to only continue to trend, and as long as they don't get complacent, I think it'll be good. And that's the opposite of the U.S., of Mexico, obviously, right? Chilo just touched on it. They keep using similar players, not giving the young kids that are obviously being successful at the lower stages. Just structural changes, there are little differences, and I think the mindset and the approach of what they're looking to get out of the federations is probably the biggest reason why we are where we are.
So for Mexico, it's the idea of having veteran players, because ocupas la experiencia en los torneos. And you said this before, Tony. Ocupas la experiencia.
Yeah.
But Mexico is one of the countries with the highest average age in selecciones. Like their average is like 28 or 29, compared to France's, which is like 26. Spain is like 22, 23. The U.S. right now is like 21 or 20.
Which is scary as hell.
So if these teams are competing at a high level and we keep the idea, we need veteran players, we need to change that. And that's what I've been trying Like I've always requested, like just play the Olympic team instead of these guys. That Olympic team was scary.
But even then, will that Olympic team, because we talked about it when they won the Gold Cup. Would the Olympic team have beat that U.S. team? Would an Olympic team and Mexico Gold Cup team combined had beat that U.S. team?
You put that Olympic team with Chucky Lozano, and then you add like, I mean, I don't even know who else to add, but Raúl Jiménez.
Okay.
And that team was scary, bro. Like,
but will they beat the U.S.?
I think they can compete a lot more than what they have been.
Like out of 10 games right now,
I think they would win 6.
The trajectory is they win 10 games. The U.S. wins 10 games, and I don't see that changing.
We'd have a better chance. We'd have a way better chance. Is there anything that can stop the U.S. right now from growing to where you expect them to be? Like, what are possible challenges?
And how can we like poke that? Like,
right. The good thing is I'm no expert in what they're looking to do, obviously, but this is just from a fan perspective. Yeah. I think they're trending in the right direction. Obviously, injuries and things of that nature. To be honest, like, I think the biggest benefit that the U.S. had to be where they are right now, and Mexico had the opportunity, I say it that way because you guys know why, they missed the World Cup in 2018. It kind of forced like a hard reboot of what they were going, and to the point of Chivas, like go move past those players that had their run, and that was it, right? Like in Mexico, you still have those players. Say in 2014 that would have happened, Mexico would have qualified. Let's just say that would have happened, right? Let's say Mexico or US doesn't go and win that game that helped Mexico get in. I want to remember that because I wish I would have used more of that in 2018, right? But if that doesn't happen, I think Mexico's probably in a better situation right now than they would have been, than they currently are, based on that. Because they would have forced them to jumpstart. They would have made the 2018 World Cup again, but there would have been structural changes that would have forced it. Because I think one thing I told you, Tony, like when we were texting, is the U.S. doesn't have the luxury to not take risk and like get results. Because the fan base is kind of like, you got to be good to have us follow because we're a new team, I guess. You can say we're in our infancy of what it is, right? The sport as a whole. Mexico kind of just jumps on the popularity of having a big fan base that supports and is going to be there regardless of the results at the end of the day, right? Like Mexico doesn't make the World Cup. That's the only unknown that we don't know how that result will look like. Yeah. Like how the fan base will respond. Mexico not winning a game against the U.S. Yeah, people get upset, but when Mexico's here at the Rose Bowl in a couple of weeks or whatever the case may be, you know that Rose Bowl is going to be packed at the end of the day. And the Federation knows that. So they're not really forced to have the results because the fan base is always going to be there, even if they're living on the status quo. The U.S. doesn't have that luxury. And it was proven like 2018 was opportunity for them to reboot and just, hey, let's attack this and maximize the potential of the economic power that soccer is on the world level. And having guys go to Europe doesn't, obviously, it only enhances that a little bit more in the brand of U.S. soccer.
So why does Europe like the U.S. more than Mexico? Because I feel like there's been players that match that same talent that some of the U.S. players have and have had. But it seems like a lot of the U.S. players are getting those chances a little bit better. Is it because the academies are similarly structured? Is it because, like, you know, I don't know. Like,
I think also
just
Mexican players, the clubs price them really high.
Yeah.
Like they want a lot of money for the youngsters, and they rate them so high that you need to let them go and grow for the selección.
Yeah, right. We're talking like perception of value compared to like the potential, right? The U.S. is more potential based as far as what it seems like. The fact that they're saying so many young players over, while Mexico's just goes back to the same thing, just maximize the value of the player rather than the potential. And I think that might be one of the reasons. I honestly really think had U.S. qualified in 2018, we probably wouldn't be exactly where we are right now. Because we still probably would have, I don't know, just think of current players, right? Like Josie Altidore, for instance, Michael Bradley, like they were like, who could we say on the Mexican side of players that are still coming around and just being around, but to some of your guys' points, like just taking up space, right? compared to bringing a young guy that gets experience. And I think that's the difference, right? Balancing experience plus talent and youth. I think that's what the U.S. has done really well, having Pulisic go through that qualifying to the 2018 and not qualifying. He was a very young player. He got that experience. So this is his second run to make a World Cup, and now he knows the feeling of agony of not making it. So those are things that you get experience that years of playing might not get you.
Yeah, I mean, Bayern Munich bought Alphonso Davies, not American, but he came out of the MLS and they bought him for $11 million. Like, you have players like, say, Macias that they want 15, 16 million out of it. Like, if Alphonso Davies was bought for 11 million, there's no way any of these young Mexican talents are going to be worth more than that. And the teams don't realize that, and they stay riding the bench because of extranjeros that play in the Liga MX. And, like, you have Guignac, you have Taven, and then Batshuayi might go to Tigres now.
Yes.
So all of these teams they want bigger names to, again, like you say, the fan base is so large in Mexico that these big names are just going to attract more people in the stadium, and they're going to get money out of it. And it's a profit business for Mexico, and it sucks. And I hope one day we get to realize, like you said, we might have to miss a World Cup for that to happen. So
what happens first? U.S. winning a World Cup, Mexico missing a World Cup?
Mexico missing a World Cup.
At least you hope, right?
Yeah, at least I hope.
That's a weird hope.
Yeah.
I would say, I honestly don't see Mexico missing a World Cup. Not if they stay how they are, but that doesn't mean obviously that's a good thing, right? Because they could just keep going to the fourth game and that's it. Like nothing
every
else.
4 years.
Same thing with the U.S. I think I've said it and I referenced it earlier. Like my argument when I had the back and forth with listeners and just my buddies and whatnot, like the U.S. is going to go further sooner in a World Cup than Mexico is. And it's happened, right? Like we date back like 2002. That's an obvious one, but like it just, they've been at least getting to the same spot. Mexico really hasn't surpassed the stages aside from qualifying for a World Cup that the U.S. didn't, but at this point has actually helped U.S. And it took a lot away from Mexico when you think about it. Like the way they started that World Cup was like, oh wow, Mexico's for real. Like this is legit. They have some young talent with Chucky and whatnot, and then you turn it around the next two games and it doesn't look like the same Mexico team. And now we're seeing some of that spilling over, and the flip side on the U.S. side.
Yeah, what happened there was we all realized Germany was not what they were 4 years ago, and we got super hyped up over it.
Yeah, that was
an interesting World Cup, right? We can, I guess, say that, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, Croatia reaching so far.
What are some of the conversations that you have? Because I mean, you have some pretty intelligent minds around you when it comes to U.S. soccer. Like, do they have a different perspective? Talking about Coach Landon, maybe. Does he just put in his 2 cents in there? Do you just listen to what he has to say? Does he comment on those things? Do you talk to him about them, or is it just like your thoughts are your thoughts, and I don't want to move into that and share with them?
We've had brief discussions, like just group settings and a little bit one-on-one, but not too much. Obviously, it's different dynamic, but I think he's mentioned a couple of times the youth component is huge of guys getting experience and being able to play, and just having those experiences, good and bad, are high impact. And I think that's the opposite, right? With Mexico, they don't have that. Being able to watch some of the game, I think, was it the Nations League? I don't remember exactly, but we were coming back from LA. I think it was Nations League when the U.S. and Mexico were playing. We were on the bus watching it, and it was pretty cool just to see, obviously, Landon, Nate, T, everyone just being in the game and understanding. And there's some guys on the bus that obviously were rooting for Mexico, and a big chunk that were rooting for the U.S. So it was a pretty cool experience to see that. Obviously, we fast forward to now, and it's like, okay, that was actually something that was really happening, not just a one-off situation. But yeah, I think it's mostly, to answer your question, it's they understand the value of people getting experiences, and having a young core is probably the key. And we see it with our team, like, right, with Loyal, like having a core is important, but let alone having a core that's dynamic and young is going to help even more on the long term of things.
Yeah, you let them build that experience, and that's what I want for Mexico. Send a group of young guys and have them suck at the World Cup, like not even past the group stage maybe, but they get that experience, and then for the next World Cup you keep that same young group of players now a little more experience, and you have a better team. And I think that might happen with the U.S. You guys might not do so good this World Cup because it's a lot of young talent, but 2026 at home, oh man, that's gonna be scary.
No, that's true. And the core has a good experience, right? We're not gonna, to your point, they might not do as good as expectations depending on how the rest of this plays out, right? As far as the qualifiers, but guys are experienced at playing at high levels, right? Yeah. Weston McKennie, he's played at a high level with Juventus. Pulisic, obviously, when he's there, he's played at a high level. So all these guys are playing in Champions League. So it's not like they're strangers to the big moment. A World Cup, obviously, is a whole different ballgame when it comes to the sport, especially coming off the pressure that they'll have going into a World Cup after missing 2018. Once they qualify, like that'll be an added value, or an added stressor potentially. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it goes. But to your point, like it's only an experience that's gonna better them nonetheless.
What's your hottest take when it comes to U.S. men's national team right now? Like just like one that even if it happens, like you wouldn't believe it happened.
Like a tangible one, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess them winning the 3 against Mexico in itself is a little bit of a. When we had those discussions early on, right, like in the summer before the first game, that was like not even a thought. That was not a realm of possibility, but it is now. I guess for next year, I don't know, winning their group, I think could be a good take and going beyond maybe to a 5th game. I can see that being the case.
I could see that. Just leading them in, because I mean it's gonna be.
You need luck in a World Cup.
It's gonna be a weird World Cup, especially in Qatar in the winter. Like that's just gonna throw so many things off. I'm not a fan of that at all. Are you a fan of it? Winter, December.
I do. I like it. I like it just because it's gonna be different, right?
Yeah.
It changes it up. I'm okay with change, but I do love the idea of a World Cup during the summer. It's just something about that. Yeah. So I'll take the November one for this go around, and then obviously in 2026 we'll have a couple good options for the summer. So I like the little transition on there, but I think U.S. winning a 5th game, and to Chio's point, like there's a lot of luck. Who knows how the knockout stages line up? Costa Rica, remember, they had a good little run previously. Yeah. So, and I think this U.S. team was probably better than that Costa Rican team, but we won't know until we get to see how they perform at that stage. But things line up pretty well. If you look at our situation with Loyal, if we get past that first game, San Antonio's a really good team. Things lined up pretty well, right? Yeah. Just a result has to fall in place. So anything can happen at that point. I think it's just getting the experience, and hopefully the team continues the trend. For the Mexico thing, though, just to go back on that, like Mexico not making a World Cup is one option, or the fan base not supporting the current status quo. Yeah. Not selling out the stadiums when they're playing Trinidad and Tobago, you know what I mean? Or whoever. Or not. Obviously, the jerseys are always going to sell. One thing that does make me mad about, or annoys me about Mexico, when have I seen them wear a green jersey? Like, I forget how they look in a green jersey.
Oh, man. Tell me about
Monte
it.
La Verde was like the big...
Yeah, that was a great campaign.
El perro Bermúdez, hoy Dios tiene la verde.
Ponte la verde.
Yeah, I mean...
Like, it goes away from what Mexico is, right? And to me. And that's me speaking from a U.S. fan. Like, I'm okay. Like, the kids they have are cool and all that, but, like, once in a while, sprinkle in some of your tradition. Like, the green, that's Mexico. That's what you see.
That's the home
Verde,
team.
shorts blancos, medias rojas.
Yeah, what the fuck is Manchester United doing with blue and yellow, bro? Like,
it's a third kit.
I know, but like,
the home kit will always be red.
Imagine that being the home kit.
There's no way.
They need to bring back the Aztec calendar somehow on the kits.
Oh man,
that's all I want.
I do like that one. I almost bought it, but I told you my pride of the competitive nature, I couldn't do it one time.
If you
I wouldn't know when to wear it.
If you had to buy one, whose jersey is on the back? You have to have somebody on the back.
On the Mexico one?
On the Mexico one.
Oof. That's a good one. I say Carlos Vela. He's probably my favorite Mexican player.
Man, I hate Carlos Vela, dude. Oh, man.
Why?
Because he doesn't like soccer.
It's his
He's
job,
just like
bro.
Ozzy.
That's
Like
his-
he doesn't like soccer. Like
Clock in,
he
clock
said
out.
it. He prefers to watch basketball over soccer.
Hey, that's true. I don't know. I like.
And
what
he's
he
always had the
represents, and
whole
I think
Mexico thing.
to the same thing. To be honest with you, though, he's true to himself, and I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
That guy had
Especially
so much
with
potential.
the federation of what it's Mexico, right? Like, look at it. You don't think Chicharito wants to play for the team? Is it going to happen?
No.
Very slim chance.
Yeah, no. But Chicharito would save everything, right, Chiva?
Chichadios.
He's the answer.
Chichadios.
He's the answer. It would have been a
Hey,
3
Chivas, like,
3-2.
we need youth players. Hey, but Chicharito.
Chichadios. Chicharito es otro pedo. Él ya todavía tiene 22, ¿no?
Oh, este güey. Nah, dude. Like, it's looking bad. And that's the thing. Nobody believes us. Because we'll tell people, like, oh, this is... Está bien.
Hasta que pierden otra vez.
Hasta que pierdan otra vez. It's fine. Like, people...
And it goes back to, right, what we're talking about. It's just the loyalty and, like, you're accustomed to being the number one in the region. And there's been moments where U.S. threatens that, right, but never really has been considered el gigante de la CONCACAF.
Mhm.
I think now it's almost like if you ask that, I think if there's a time to ask that question and get the most even split results, I think it's now. Like, the Mexican fan is probably thinking, like, with my heart, yes, I want to say it, but the reality is I don't know how to answer this truthfully.
So the way I realize things are going wrong is with my brother, because he's the most biased soccer fan ever. He'll still tell you Cholos are the best team in the Liga MX, even though they're in last. But as soon as he told me, he called me and said, "Wait, somos los hijos de Estados Unidos." I was like, oh shit, yeah, we got a problem then. If he's realizing this, then a lot of people should be realizing this.
That's when you said, pick up the phone and call Chicharito right now.
Yeah.
That's when I posted that on my Instagram, that little TikTok of Chicharito. I was like, oh man, the good days.
That's the thing. Like, Chicharito...
We
like,
need more Man U players in Mexico.
Oh,
That's all we
güey.
need.
Sí, güey. The thing is, like, man, like, they sell too much. It's like, it's all too much money, man. Like, how are you not gonna have Ochoa in his uniform de selección haciendo sándwiches para Bimbo? Like,
Pero ahí
all
está
the- all
Acevedo,
those
el
things-
no
all those
llamado,
things, like-
Gudiño.
but they don't
Like,
sell.
this-
They
but what
won't
they're
sell
doing
Bimbo.
is they're getting consumers left and right. And that's something we talked about, right? Like,
Yeah.
one thing they have done well is build support system and just like a following beyond the soccer fan. Like, the casual fan and the non-casual fan supports Mexico. They'll wear a green jersey because they know, right? Like, they know what that means. Oh, va a jugar Mexico hoy, and they have no idea why or who or what, but they're gonna go and be part of, like, I don't know, the pop culture component of the Mexico national team. That's
Mhm.
literally what it is. And I mentioned it. You might not like this, Chino, because I already know. And I thought about this when I told Tony. As far as the fan base goes, Mexico really makes me think a lot of, like, the Chivas. They have a big fan base. And I argued this point back then in radio, and I kind of got laughed at, and I still agree with it, or I still hold true to it. They also, to me, have probably the largest base of ignorant fans. And I say ignorant in towards of, like, the team they support. There's very smart people that really follow the team and know the ins and outs and are passionate. And then there's the fan that's a casual fan that just roots for them because the Chivas are cool to root for, you know? But I think there's a big sector of, like, that fan base that's who they are. So it's a big percentage. And that kind of goes hand in hand with Mexico, right? Like, Chivas are like the Mexican national team of the league. That's what they hang their hat on, right? Like, puros Mexicanos playing for our team. That's what we want. So I think those two fan bases overlap heavily. And at the same time, I stick to that. Like, they're not the most passionate. It's more just the popularity. And they're not the most up to date with what's going on with the team. And they don't really care if they win or lose, to be honest. They're going to go buy a jersey. They're going to go hang out with their friends and watch a game at the Rose Bowl or Bank of California, wherever it is, just to have a good time and have a good, just to have some entertainment, because that's cool to do, you know?
It's like watching Sublime with Rome. It's like, yeah, you're watching Sublime. It's with Rome, but I'm still supporting here for Sublime. Like, you're just part of the culture.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Like, I mean, you can see it in Chivas stadiums over the last year. Like, they're not selling as many tickets, and they've had to do promotions where they sold one game for $1. just to get people going.
Yeah,
But you're right about Mexican fans as well. We're super ignorant when we rank ourselves as high as Spain and France, and we think we're up there, but we're really not.
And I'm not saying like all of fans, right? I'm saying like there's a big portion of it just because of the wow, cool factor of like being part of something cool and just not being left out. But then there's the one that really suffers with the defeats, right? Like can't stand the fact that you see like all the tweets going out after a loss to the U.S. team or whatever, all the photos of Pulisic all tatted up in the corner with the rest of his crew after a win. Like that irks a lot of people that are the true fans or like the fans that are dedicated. And then there's a fan base that's just like kind of just accompanying the cool wow FOMO component of it.
The fan base that's like, ¿no está el Chicharito en la selección? Oh, ¿por qué no está Herrera? ¿Y Guardado? You know what Mexico's doing though, right? We keep playing these veteran players because at the end of the day, the television companies, they want people to watch, so they got to get players that played a long time in Mexico. Like right now we have Kiki Fonseca, Osvaldo Sanchez for Univision, and they're getting Guardado and Herrera, Ochoa polished up for the next step. And that's what Mexico's doing.
Interesting. I can see that.
Yeah, it just keeps going. Unfortunately, that's what it seems to be, and that's what even the fans know, but they're still going to continue to I don't want to call it fall into a trap because I don't see it that way, but continue to consume, and it's just going to give Mexico more reason to continue to push it out there that way. So
at this point,
like I think the only two real solutions is something drastic has to happen. Mexico not making the World Cup, or fans starting to not boycott, but just not support to the degree that they're supporting. But I don't see that being the case, to be honest, because of what I just mentioned.
I'm down to boycott. I've done it before for Manchester United, so.
I have a jersey for you if you want.
¿A quién le vas tú en la Premier? The Premier?
Premier League. What's your team?
See, I've never really fully committed to a team in the Premier League. I think I mentioned this before too. I followed Man City. If I had to choose, I think Man City would be.
Wow, I was just telling Tony, there's no Man City fans in the loyal office.
There's no way.
There's actually a couple, to be honest.
Oh wow!
Now that I think about it.
Don't tell me their names.
Blacklisted.
At this point, I just watch Mexico games just to hear Martinoli talk his shit.
Yeah,
that Martinoli call in the 2014 qualifiers, like
Darren's intro. Jesus.
Oh yeah, every time like I want to hear Darren's intro all the time just because of that. Ustedes no AOC, like oh man, I love that.
And that's true. Like we need more Martinolis. Like he's one of the truth speakers. Like he'll call it like it is, and people don't like him because of that. And he goes against the grain. And
he also got Piojo fired. But
I mean, yeah, that too.
Hey, on that, like one thing, U.S. I've noticed the trend is changing. Aside from the results, we're getting Martinolis on the U.S. soccer side of things now, right? Like we didn't have that before. It was more like Concero de Izquierda, like U.S. Cool, they won, they lost. It's the casual Mexico fan.
Yeah.
For all the fan base, for the most part. But now there's more criticism and more higher expectations, and people are holding the federation to a higher standard and making sure that the results are there. So that's good. We don't have the luxury yet, like Mexico does, to not have the results. But I think that's a good thing. I don't think you ever want to fall into that complacency. At the same time, I don't know how long it'll take for U.S. to get to Mexico's economic power in terms of the U.S. brand compared to the Mexico brand, right? On the field is completely different to what the objectives seems to be for Mexico on the financial side.
At this rate, we might rely on you guys to help us out again in March to qualify.
You guys will help us out again. No sean así.
Like, I hope we remember 2018 when that comes around.
I really thought it was going to be like Mexico would return the favor. And there was there was absolutely no remorse by any Mexican fan, and I was like, okay, like I'm
come on,
right.
You know how we are. Like 2014, I was in my living room watching the U.S. game, and Martinoli calling the Mexico game, and the whole split screen. I was like, don't score, U.S. Don't tie this game, because all they needed was a draw, right?
Yeah.
And of course they draw, and then I was like, hopefully, like they get scored on, and then they go and take the lead. I'm like, what is going on right now? Yeah. Like. I was
so mad that the U.S. won.
There was no way. I wanted I wanted Mexico not to make it, just to see what would happen more than anything.
Yeah.
And now just using the example of the U.S., I think it would have been better off for Mexico, to be honest. Yeah. Like they would have been better off right now
That was
in this
such a
moment
good team
had they
too.
not gone to 2014. At the end of the day, what did they do in 2014 at the World Cup?
No era penal, Jesse.
No era penal,
No era
bro.
penal,
Come on.
Jesse.
Come on.
Ay,
Boo.
vamos con
Come
eso.
on now. Come on.
Hey, Rafa Marquez, experienced, quote unquote, should know.
Yeah.
It should know the player that he's dealing with inside that area. Like, those are factors too.
It's always Rafa Marquez too in there. It was Portugal with the handball. It was 2002 against the U.S. It's always Rafa Marquez in the World Cup, man. Like
2,704 días.
it's been 2,000.
This is all I remember
days.
from that World Cup for Mexico. No era penal, and Ochoa diving all over the place when he didn't have to against Brazil.
Oh, and Chucky's goal.
Hey, that was one of the most outstanding
2014.
performances by a goalkeeper in a World Cup. Para la foto.
Hey,
it was pretty
did
good.
he have some? But there was some that he didn't have to make him as inflados as he did. Let's be honest.
Hey, deja San Memo en paz.
I guess people realize that in Europe too, because then that World Cup only got into like the French relegation zone.
No la armó en Europa,
Yeah.
Like, no la armó.
Oh man. But yeah, man, it's good times, fun times, and man, you Jesse are a part of growing the U.S. soccer brand as on a daily basis, working in the team that we fell in love with now here in San Diego Loyal, and just want to congratulate you on a season because people might not know what happens behind the scenes in a team. I've been seeing some things that I was like, wow, these people have 20 different jobs in one day. It's amazing. So congratulations on a full season, full first season. Not sure how you feel. You decompressing now. Or are you just already locked in for next season? And we'll kind of dive into like what some of your highlights were, if you don't mind, for the San Diego Loyal season.
Yeah. There's definitely some like weeks of decompression for everyone, obviously. But me personally, I just taking some time off to separate myself a little bit, but obviously still being engaged. Ideally, in an ideal world, obviously this would have been the last week of the season for us. You guys know what I'm getting at. That would have been ideal. That would have been dope. Not just for us, for me, for everyone, but I think just for the community as a whole, because it would have been something very special. But I think we had a special season nonetheless. It was really good to have, obviously, a full season, aside from 2 games, I think, which are typical 34 games. Having fans back in the stadium and just feeling like it's normal again. Obviously, there's some changes or some differences still, but I think we've come a long way in terms of the pandemic and things of that nature to be able to feel like we have a full stadium again and really just cheer on the boys, So I was really excited. Obviously, more importantly, I think I was just really grateful for what we've done and the support we got from you guys, the community as a whole, I think. And I can say that's the same thing everyone in this office feels, including the players and the coaching staff. So we're really excited. Obviously, now we're slowly, with the holidays coming around, we're getting prepped and ready to start getting into year 3 and prepare for a full 34-game season and things of that nature. So we're really excited to see how that's going to look. But nonetheless, we know we have good foundation, obviously, with the last 2 seasons and the support that we have from our community.
I see you, and I find myself looking at you sometimes at the end of games, at home games, where you're just there waiting for the final whistle. And usually for the rest of the game, you're up and down, moving, heaven and earth. But in those last few moments, I see you that you're just lost, and you're a fan, and you're watching, and you're suffering with everybody in the stadium. What's your favorite part or your favorite moment from the season that you just completely just lost yourself? Like, you're not working, you're just a fan, and we're like, wow, just something that you really enjoyed.
Yeah, those final moments are like double-edged sword, right? Like, I hate stoppage time. Just so you guys know, like, on the record, I hate it. And it's usually because I'm on the wrong side of stoppage time, I feel. Or at least it's the most anxiety-driven 5 minutes of my life. But I think beating Phoenix at home, that was 6-19, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a special day as a whole, just because it was the first time everyone was able to be there. And then it happened to be Phoenix, and then the result, and then knowing the stoppage time and just how things are playing out, especially when you compare it to the previous Phoenix match in Phoenix. Yeah, I think that was a very special moment. Like, it was just exciting to see the guys excited, like in the stands, fans were excited, the coaching staff was excited. Like, it was just cool. our front office, everyone, people. I think there's some people that work in the game for the first time were probably like, "What is going on?" But they just felt the energy, right? So I think it's all about energy, and that was like probably the best moment that I can think of as spot like top of mind. Like if anything gave me goosebumps for sure, like that one did.
100%. And I mean, it was an exciting season. A lot of people, I believe, got to know what exactly a 30-plus game season felt like as supporters
It's a marathon.
and whatnot.
It's a marathon, right?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Especially, I'm looking right now at the calendar. You got some back to back weeks of game. Just seems like it's never ending. But it's crazy looking back at how many moving parts are there in a team in general and making it happen. Because again, I coined, like this is season 1 version 2 for San Diego Loyal. Is this kind of how it went where you at other places you were at other teams, or what made San Diego Loyal a little bit more special or different than any other institution or team you worked for?
I think just the challenges and seeing, obviously, knowing that we had a good support like in place from our fan base, our community as a whole, and being able to grow that after a year that we didn't really have support in stands because we couldn't. Um, Aside from that first match, obviously, but knowing that that was the potential, seeing it come to life from year 2, and seeing how much it's grown exponentially, I guess you can say, um, definitely sets us up really well. Not just us as a club, but us as a community to continue to further this journey of San Diego Loyal further and further and get it to where everybody wants it to be, right? So I think that's what makes it unique and special, and just having that community support, I think, is huge, because I think that has a huge influence on the future of the club. And that's why people always say, like, it's in most cases it can be cliche, but I think for a lot of big institutions in soccer, like the fan bases are the ones that own the club directly or indirectly. And I think that's the reason why, like, there's so much influence just on support alone, and how many decisions can be made of the future of the club just based on that.
So there's also a lot of things that people are looking forward to for next season. But do you know anything at all over this USO and eFootball partnership that was announced today?
Oh yeah.
Like, is that something that fans are gonna take a part of? Like, are you guys gonna hire a professional esports eFootball player?
That hasn't been discussed yet. I know it's in the early stages, but I know there's gonna be a lot of engagement with that. I can foresee some tournaments happening, things of that nature, but we haven't obviously got to the fine details of that yet. Obviously, we have a great partnership with Rocket League as well, so just trying to see how we can maneuver both of those, and obviously make sure people are engaging with both brands, because I think it's really good for us, the sport as a whole, and just having that exposure. Like, to me, it's just a cool factor that you'll be able to play with San Diego Loyal on a video game. That's pretty sick.
That people are excited for that. Some people on our Twitter feed are saying, "Oh, me acting like this, winning the U.S. Open Cup with Loyal." So
That's cool, man. Like,
that would be dope.
I don't care if it's FIFA or formerly known RIP PES. I never really liked PES, but you know what? It's a different brand now, and I've always liked Konami for other video games, the Metal Gear Solid series, Metal Slug.
Oh, that was a good one.
The Metal Slug on
Yeah.
the maquinitas.
Are you a FIFA player yourself, or not really?
I was, but I haven't been able to sit down and play video games. And I'm not trying to like flex that I work too much, because that's not the case, but that's not the reasoning behind it. But it's more like I got to a point where I used to sit down and play video games and I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I got away from it, then when I tried to get back onto it, it was hard to stay engaged. But I definitely want to get into FIFA once again. That one, I think Madden are like my 2 favorite games of all. Yeah. FIFA is like number 1 over it though. But yeah, I think my son keeps lobbying to get a system. I have one there, just I haven't used it, and he keeps lobbying to get a new one so we can start playing FIFA, he says. I know once I open up that Pandora's box, it's gonna just get crazier and crazier. So I'm like holding off, even though I really want to get back into it. And I think, but yeah, I'm not a big FIFA guy now, but I used to be, and I want to get back to it to that point.
Because I know some of the players are really into FIFA. Like, I think I saw on some point somebody's Instagram stories was like, it was an away match, and a bunch of the guys were just around in a hotel or a Airbnb in a system and just having a great time. Have you seen? Do they generally all have tournaments? I know Guido too even complained to EA Sports on Twitter the other day, like just called them out, like, "Hey, your servers are
love that.
trash."
Yeah, these guys are always competing, right? They're competitive human beings. Like that's what they do for a living, and they just carry that across everything. Like, yeah, they're always getting. Elijah's always one of them. Like, and from what I know, Elijah's a really good player, which is why we had. I think he represented or was part of our team during 2020.
Yeah, during the pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think all these guys take it real serious when it comes to competing and just one-upping each other, right? Like if it's that fantasy football or playing, I don't know, soccer volley.
Yes, which is a treat. Like that's pre warm-ups for trainings. Like they would just self set up. They would get a bench. They would get something to start playing soccer volley. And wow, like the quality of professional soccer players just having a good time playing, just having fun it gets intense, and it's so interesting to watch. Like Xavi,
it's so hard to play too.
The best combination I saw was Xavi and Miguel Ibarra. Ibarra. Like, oh my God, like they had such a wonderful connection. Like a master and a youngling. Like it was so cool to see.
Yeah, those are two guys that for sure they were always partnered up and ready to go. Like you would hear Miggy go like, Xavi, ven para acá, and then they'll go and start playing like all the time. So it's good to see outside of just the competitive nature, but like the relationships that get created because of it, right? And obviously it spills over to like what they do on the pitch during a game. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, the competitive nature is always there for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, are there any insights you can let us know maybe for what's in the works for next season? Are there? We already heard like some pretty big news about maybe new kits or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, there's big things coming, that's for sure. Obviously, we're in the planning stages of 2022. A lot of things going. We're still waiting on final, like details on what the season looks like when it starts. All those little things, which will obviously help our training camp dates and all those things of that nature. But there is big things coming for sure. I think things that have been what the fan base has been waiting for, they're going to be really excited about in general. One of those is, like we mentioned, a full season isn't what we're hoping to get. So the plans of that, US Open Cup, like I haven't heard anything official, but that's obviously a hopeful thing. You guys mentioned it right now with the video game component. Like that'll be something new for us, right? Like going into year 3, having the opportunity potentially to play in the US Open Cup would be something very unique and special. I personally love the Open Cup. When I was in Fresno and we were able to compete in that, it was exciting. It was exciting times just knowing that it was a sub tournament, like a second tournament during our regular season tournament. Like it's a really cool experience, and that's what soccer is about, right? Like multiple simultaneous cups and tournaments going on at the same time, and we get to experience that and get to play in some big stadiums, right? Like in Fresno, we were fortunate enough to play LAFC at Bank of California. Like that was a really cool experience for our players, our staff, but more importantly, our fans that bust up. And I can see that, like, I can just envision that with our fan base, and it just makes me like more excited about seeing the opportunity of playing those games that have some really good value.
All right, you mentioned Fresno. This is a new segment on Two Balls and a Mic. Just came up with it. It's called "What's Up with Fresno." What's the 3 top things about Fresno? Go, Jesse.
This is an easy one. You and I have had this discussion many times. It can easily be 1, 2, and 3 could be tacos. 100%. I know you don't like that. Tacos for sure is number 1, though. If I wanted to stay on food, tacos, and then tri-tip.
Okay.
It just makes sense, right? Central Valley. Cardiff Crack is really good. There's a place called Doghouse Grill across the street from Samar Center in Fresno State. Exceptional. So I definitely recommend that. The third one, top 3, I guess a lot of people love Yosemite, right? That's not Fresno, but it's in that area. You'll love this one. I'll say Fresno State.
Come on. Fresno State. Breaking San Diego State's undefeated streak this year in football. And when we knew it, I even told you, just watch. You're going to enjoy taking the undefeated for San Diego State. We let you have it. It's all good. Damn it. That caught me out of. I forgot about that.
I still don't want to live in Fresno. I'll take our second place tacos. I guess I'll keep them.
The scale that you and Elijah Martin have for tacos is so bizarre. All right, so I don't think I've talked about this on here because Tacos El Vaquero, our sponsor, was actually
Good
catering.
tacos, by the way. They are good tacos.
Good tacos. It's Jesse. Jesse's a sensible man. He doesn't want to crush anybody.
It's no Fresno tacos.
He's no Fresno tacos, but he's a sensible man. He doesn't want to crush and destroy this independent small business. I'll have Elijah Martin eating tacos in front of me, and I'm gonna use the opportunity. Hey, so what do you feel? How do you feel? Like these tacos, straight up call them trash.
Oh,
and he didn't know that they were our sponsor. I'm like, oh yeah, because that's our sponsor. He's like, oh shit, like he felt bad. Like, oh shit, like no, like not compared to Fresno talk. I'm like, it's all good, man, it's all good. But it's a weird scale that you guys have up there. So
I don't agree with Elijah on that one because I don't think they're trash. I honestly really like them. I actually told my wife, I'm like, yo, we gotta go try these tacos so you can
there you go
fill some of those Fresno tacos back. But I still consider Fresno tacos better, but those are very comparable and really good. I'm telling you, we have to make a trip up there so you guys can experience it. We'll do a little taco tour. I know the right person that will give us a good tour of all the taco spots there, and we can rate them. But
I'm down. Is Elijah allowed to talk? He's allowed to eat tacos off season, right? I mean, kid needs to bulk up.
He was eating those tacos in season, so I think we're good.
Has Elijah gone to TJ to eat TJ tacos?
I don't know.
I don't believe so because I don't personally think he has, but I don't know. I haven't gone to TJ since I've moved here because obvious reasons. But
the border's open. But the border.
I think that's the next step. You guys got to take me to TJ, eat some tacos.
Let's do it.
Pony.
100%. Just get ready for 5 hours of border wait because that's how long it's taking right now.
Where are we taking him though?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Tacos del Frank.
Tacos del Frank is pretty mainstream.
Do you
like weird tacos? Like not weird tacos. De cabeza, de seso, de lengua.
Typically, I don't. To be honest. No.
Okay.
I like
good to know.
asada. Like it's like if I'm gonna try pizza, I want to try somebody's like pepperoni pizza, and that will tell me a lot. If I'm gonna try a burger, I want to try like the regular cheeseburger, nothing crazy on it.
Okay.
And then after that, I can rate it, and then move on to like crazy stuff if I feel like the need. But
that's fair.
Usually, carne asada is my go-to, and just as long as they have some good salsa, and as you guys talked about, salsa meat ratio type of situations, like I'm good on that.
Meat to mouth. Shout out Drew Steck.
Yep.
No, we definitely got to go. Like the perfect time is going to be when. We already played the home, they owe us a invitation to go down to Tijuana and play Loyals versus Tijuana down in TJ. So hopefully that's something that happens in year 3 coming up.
Me vean dándole tours a todos los locos. Vamos, acá.
Sí, vato.
Tacos del Frank.
Like my imagination flows to walking, if they hopefully they come back, the Brits walking them down to TJ and be like, all right guys, this is TJ tacos, this is real tacos, and just having their express. Because when again going back to that day, I don't know if you saw, like Haji didn't know what horchata was, and he's like,
oh man,
what is this? Like he was just like so blown away, and have people like, oh no, this is horchata. It's like, but how do you make it? Like it's just rice water and. But like, I want to see that experience with some of the Brits.
Yeah, it was cool to see, right?
But you're also bringing up your other teams. I want to say congratulations to your Atlanta Braves.
Thank you. That was fun to watch.
A very appropriate slow clap from a Dodger fan and just deadpan from a Padre fan. But congratulations, man. It's you're one of those diehards. It's always wonderful to see people who are fans of a team finally get one.
We had it last year.
Some of those small market teams like the Dodgers. Wait, relax.
Hey, it's great winning a World Series, huh? Do you know what that's like, Tony?
Fuck
off. That was...
this is my pen now.
I didn't go there. I witnessed 95 and obviously this year, 2021. So
nice.
I didn't think it was ever going to happen again based on the fact that we were up 3-1 on Dodgers last year and it fell apart, and I had a feeling it was going to fall apart. And I'm just a pessimist Braves fan that had so much success without the World Series titles that I just know something's always going to happen. And I felt that was happening this year until a special, like at one moment I was like, okay, I think we got this. I actually told somebody in the office after we beat the Dodgers, like, do you think you can beat the Astros? I think they're too strong. I'm like, honestly, I think we match up really well. I think we surprised enough people already, and we're in a good stride. I said, I think we can win in 6. And I'm not just saying that. Like, literally, I told him. And when it happened, I was like, all right, that was pretty exciting. I actually did run that. I think MLB did like a thing that was just spinning and saying, like, screenshot and see who the World Series matchup is. And I did out of curiosity.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not shitting you. And I'll pull it up on my phone as we speak. But it was literally Astros Braves. And it was October 6th when I did it, before the playoffs started. And I held on to it. And I forgot. And then as things were developing, I was like, oh, crap, this can actually become real.
Oh, shit.
Me being a superstitious baseball guy, I was like, I'm not. Oh, shoot, he's good. Brian jumped in here and spooked me. Superstitious baseball guy, I was like, I'm not showing anybody until it happens. It was actually October 5th. And let me see. I'll show you guys there. See it?
Look
see
at that.
date?
Oh, wow.
Wow. No, that's counts. You got to save that forever, because that's you essentially just the stars aligned. The stars aligned.
How do you not take that screenshot that your Braves wouldn't have won it?
Yeah, no, it's the screenshot that pushed the cosmos in that direction. So there's no way.
Had I shared it with anybody, I think it would have not happened, right? Like, that's the way it works.
So were you? I think I caught you doing some kind of broadcast of a hockey game that day.
Yeah. So unfortunately, the timing didn't work out too well.
Yeah.
I was calling. I was part of a Dia de los Muertos promotion. I did a Spanish broadcast for the Anaheim Ducks.
Nice.
Against the New Jersey Devils, and it happened to be the same day. So I had my phone there watching the game passively. As you know, hockey is a very fast sport. So I couldn't take my eye off too much, but that's the only unfortunate part, is I wasn't able to enjoy the Braves actually winning World Series again. As far as like the moment, right? It's not the same experiencing from social media and all of that and watching the recap, but at the end of the day, it happened. But yeah, I guess that's the downside of it.
So how did you find out? Like, you're in the broadcast, you're watching the game. Like, were you looking down at the phone? Did somebody tell you? Did like what was that moment where you found out? Like, you just like keep it to yourself, or was it after? Like, oh wow, they actually won, or like the actual moment?
Yeah, Erwin, who actually was doing play-by-play that night. There goes Ryan.
Bye, Ryan.
He said bye, dude. He's a giant Spanish play-by-play guy. For them. Oh, Ryan wants to come back.
Hi, Ryan.
He's a Spanish play-by-play guy, so he knows obviously the Giants. Yeah, that I'm a Braves fan, and he's known that for a while. So he was giving me updates. The broadcast manager for Anaheim Ducks knew that I was a Braves fan, and he comes up to me when Soler hit the 3-run bomb. He's you want to know an update? I was like, oh gosh. I'm like,
oh boy,
dude, is it good? Or he's like, it's good. I'm like, you tell me, just lay it on me now. And he told me that he hit that, and then after that, I just kept looking at it. Obviously, Dansby does his thing, and Freddie Freeman and all that. So when the last inning was coming up, I'll be honest, I kind of stopped paying attention to the hockey game for a second. Those 3 outs, I was just witnessing it on my phone. It was fun to watch. Not gonna lie, I was looking at the reactions and just seeing highlights after. As our game was still going on, it was a 5-0 hockey game too. The Ducks dominated, so it helped a little bit towards that. But just seeing the reactions and people's reactions, it kind of made me like get a little emotional. I was like, I need to stop watching this. I'll watch it. Yeah. I need to still call this hockey game. I'll talk later. And it was fun. It's just because obviously to me, it's the sport that I grew up watching my grandpa and just the team I followed because of that. I still remember 1995 watching the Braves get that final out in center field to Marquise Grissom against the Indians. I was in my grandparents' house in the living room just witnessing that moment and still remember the radio call on that. So that moment took me back, and it was pretty cool just to relive it in a different way, obviously, but it still brought back memories of that moment.
It was an incredible World Series, and for a team that was under 500 at the trade deadline to turn it around in such fashion, some may say that it's an underhanded tactic. I wouldn't. It's just baseball and how it is now, and I think
you'll get that feeling soon. Hopefully.
Shut up, jeez. But I think after Ronald Acuna went down, like it was a turning point, and everything turned out for the best. It kind of sucks for him not being able to play this season, but I mean, to get a ring for Atlanta, and that's the thing, like
Atlanta has that history.
Because
of
I don't know if you know this,
man.
by the way, I found out Jesse's a Vikings fan.
Are you really?
I'm all over the place, guys. Let's be honest.
No,
Hey,
like that's fine, but like being an Atlanta fan, like that's I would be afraid to be an Atlanta fan just because of everything that city's gone through. Like just it was.
I guess I was too young to know, right? When it happened, I was like innocently part of it, and all I knew was success when I was paying attention. Like they were winning. They won a World Series right off the bat, and they were just winning divisions, titles left and right, and breaking my heart right before the World Series or in the World Series. So it wasn't. I didn't know that it was always a letdown, right? And I should have known by the 14 straight division titles and one World Series.
Yeah,
definitely.
I feel bad for Atlanta. You got the Falcons. You got.
That's okay. Jesse's a Vikings fan. You know what? Vikings went and stood strong at home against current reigning defending MVP Aaron Rodgers. All right.
I like the Vikings, not just because I have Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson in my fantasy, but
hey, that's a good combo.
It is. It's paying off right now.
That's all good. Just don't put them in prime time, so you'll be good.
Hey.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna deny that. Like the Vikings have found a way to like mimic the Atlanta situations for me. So they figured out if it's Gary Anderson missing a field goal or 15-1 and still not winning and getting smoked by the Giants 44-0, like they find a way.
I mean, you can hold on to the Minnesota Miracle. That was
fun.
Was amazing.
The following week, not so much, but that was a cool moment.
It's one of the greatest moments of all time. But I think we'll kind of wind us down, Jesse, and again, want to thank you just coming on down, talk your shit about the U.S. men's national team, and rightfully so, because again, we were talking about this and we were talking like, how are we going to defend Mexico? There is no defending Mexico, and it's time to.
I was quite surprised from Chiva. I thought he was going to honestly put up a better fight, but just
a better fight.
I mean,
what
else can I argue? At least this year, like,
are they converting you too?
No, there's no way.
Is Chiva getting soft?
No.
Again, are you liking the men's national team?
No, absolutely
the U.S.
not.
ones, dude.
No.
Hey, I think what's happening is we've been influencing Tony really well. That it's starting to spill over into Chiva. It's like a contagious.
I'm ashamed of
effect.
Tony right now.
I've seen the light, Jesse. I've seen the light. I'm not going to support the U.S.
There's rumors right now that the two balls might not keep happening if Tony becomes a U.S. fan.
I don't know if I should be divulging this, like, because it goes public, but there may not be a chance that I have two birth certificates and two different birthdays, December 29th and January the 8th, 1992 and 1993. So
interesting. One of those is a U.S. fan. I can guarantee you that.
That's why I'm Tony Sanchez and not Jose Antonio Sanchez Cervantes Perez Cardona Jr.
Let's go.
No.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Tony's a U.S. fan now.
No,
that's what he said, right? That's what he said.
I don't even know the words of this national.
Hey. Pa'lante.
Yo sí sabo, bro.
Yo sí
sabo. But no, I want to thank you, Jesse, again.
A quick thing on that. We talked about hot takes.
Yes.
What's the top four? Or top four. How does the CONCACAF hexagonal end in the top four?
Oh,
Who makes it?
Oh, shit.
Oh.
I can't say Mexico first.
Oh,
I can't. There's what? 6 games left? There's 6 games left, right? Because there's
6 matches,
January and then February and March.
To your point, Mexico has majority of their games. I think it's 4 at home.
Yeah, but no fans.
No fans.
So I mean,
that's,
yeah.
That's because we're boycotting, like you said.
And because we're boycotting Seaway. And even then, like, that's something that we talk about, like, and people don't like that we are against the chant, the goalkeeper chant, and we're like, hey, wait, cálmense, güey, vale madre, güey. If it's affecting the team on the field, like, that's when you should start caring. Pero, stubborn ass customs. So right now you got Canada first, which is wild. It's wild. U.S., Mexico, Panama.
It's going to be those 4. I don't know what order, but it's going to be those 4. I don't think Honduras makes a comeback. Costa Rica is not the same.
They've separated, right? So I think it's pretty. Yeah, to your point, I agree. I think those 4 are the 4.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the order? That's
what's the order, Chiva?
Is Mexico back in another? What's it called? Repechaje.
I'm going Mexico first. U.S. second.
You just said you couldn't.
But I'm still doing it. Mexico first, U.S. second, Canada third, Panama stays at 4th. I think Canada deserves to go to the World Cup.
Being a biased fan, right?
I have to be a little bit biased. You guys are calling me out. I don't like it.
I think Mexico's second to the U.S.
Of course you do.
And you think Canada
Tony?
comes to 4th or 3rd?
Anthony.
Hey, Canada drops to third. Fuck, dude. But like, I don't want to say Mexico. There's a chance it might stay like this. There's a chance
Canada
it might stay
first?
like this. USA first, Canada second, Mexico third.
I don't think Canada gets first.
You think they hold on?
Nah.
They don't have enough blizzards to welcome people.
I
No,
think-
they need a frozen field.
I think U.S. stays in first, and they would have had a lot of cushion had they taken care of the results that they needed.
Jamaica.
Same thing could be said about every team, right? I think Canada goes to second. I think right now
Of course you
Mexico's
do.
in like I don't want to call it identity crisis, but they're like searching to see where they are. And I think we'll see the next month what decisions they make, what changes structurally or what angle. But Tata has to make a decision, right? And the federation does too. If he comes out of the game and loses the next two matches, do they follow Mexico tradition and get rid of a coach and start something new?
It's
The
been,
advantage they have right now is that the World Cup's not until November, so they'll have more time to build something.
Yeah.
If they do have to change.
All they have to do is call Linus up, and he'll fix our problems.
thank you, Chiva. Thank
Like
you,
Ness.
that Chiva. Thank you for fixing.
Dude, just hire me.
thank you
bro.
for fixing
Just fix-
Mexico being in third with Linus.
Of course. Es un crack el morro.
See, oh man,
So it's
yeah.
Linus,
So I think it-
Pulisic.
So I think it goes 3-4, stays the same, 1 and 2 flip to the current standings.
So Mexico third.
Fuck. But guess what? We'll still be in the World Cup, and yet we wouldn't know what missing a World Cup would feels like. Something that we actually told
That's the problem,
the
right?
Dutch people that we talked to and lost penalties to last week kept making fun of us, like, oh yeah, Mexico and the US, no schools. It's like, okay, cabrones, no era penal. You guys missed the last World Cup. How about that, huh?
Yeah, they did.
Okay. Shout out to
Oh
the
yeah,
Mariners.
I saw that. What's his name? That you guys are with, the goalkeeper,
Patrick Timmer.
Patrick Timmer. Yeah, he played on the PDL team at the time, League Two,
Yes, he did.
Fresno.
Yes,
Yes,
he did actually. We were talking about that, and yeah, his parents came over and visited for the first time I had seen him in 2 years. They brought us
Yeah.
actually this scarf and that
Yeah, that's
scarf
awesome.
over.
I did see that, and I remember I meant to tell you. I was like, yeah, I know him from Fresno. I think he also played at Fresno Pacific, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he was saying, he
Yeah.
played in a couple teams up there. Yeah, it's crazy.
Cool
He's
guy, cool
tall,
family.
man.
Obviously, I think I've met him once, the dad, but I know from social, like they're engaging.
Yeah, chin madre sota de gente.
Well, we got you loyal fans in the Netherlands now.
Yes, I actually have the pictures. They have the loyal scarves, and the kids have just 6'4" dude has a wall of scarves. So you got some loyal supporters up there.
That's awesome.
But yeah, dude, like it's crazy, and then it's all happening here in San Diego. Again, this wasn't here a couple years ago. A couple years ago, this wasn't here as prevalent, anyways. And I'm glad that stuff is happening and it's working. And it's thanks to you, people like you and San Diego Loyal, and bringing everybody in together.
Yeah.
And it's that spirit, that unilateral spirit of community and wanting to grow something grassroots. And that's
Yeah.
something that's
And I
staying.
think it's a two-way street, right? It's not just from this side. It's obviously you guys from being as committed to have a podcast, and beyond that, just being fans and supporters and the community as a whole, and just getting people to the stadium that have never been and experience what it is to have that moment, right? That those 2 hours of like, wow, this is different for those that have only been to football, basketball, baseball games or any other sport, but never been to a professional soccer game. Like they right away realize, oh, this is what people are pumped up about. I see it. It makes sense to me now, right? Like, and we just need more of those situations that keep happening and keep growing. And I think we're getting there exponentially, as I mentioned, and it's all because of the reviews that we get from our fans and the support, obviously, that they just keep showing, and more importantly, just holding us accountable, but at the same time being there to support on both ends of it. So I think we're grateful for that, obviously, as a club.
Yeah, and again, thank you for letting us in, because, like, again, we talked about this, Jesse, that it was kind of up in the air when we started, like, wanting and asking for media credentials, like, is there a podcast like this? And I think, you were vocal about, allowing that, not just us, but, the rest of the podcast community here in San Diego for Loyal into, doing some coverage, and we don't take that for granted at all. It's been fun as hell, just letting those gorditos running around with the GoPro up and down the stairs, like, oof, bien bofeados, but you know what? It was really fun. It's some of the best times that I've had in my life.
That hill
honestly.
still gets me, man.
That goddamn hill, dude. Like we
Don't
need
worry,
to
it
change
gets
that.
all of us, like literally all of us. So every individual that's ever walked down that, I think, has never like not complained about it. So it's fine.
It's part of it. But yeah, so thank you again for letting us in, and we look forward to more coverage and everything San Diego Loyal, as long as you'll have us. And you know, hopefully one day we can.
Appreciate you guys for sure.
Yeah, definitely, man. But thank you, man. You know, if you want to throw your socials up there or anything San Diego Loyal related, I know season tickets. Get those season tickets for next year. That's huge. At the San Diego Loyal website. Anything else, Jesse?
Yeah. Those right now are getting obviously all the deposits. That's the easiest way to get into the season ticket fold right now. A lot of great things coming this year for sure. I think that's the biggest thing. Social media handle San Diego Loyal. That's what it is, at San Diego Loyal. SDLoyal.com for all our information. Season tickets to the general public will be coming soon, so be ready for that as well. If you haven't placed a deposit, but placing a deposit obviously has some added benefits, and more importantly, just being part of it sooner helps a little bit more as a fan to be able to have more perks. So definitely take advantage of those, and more importantly, just so you can be part of what it is to have this experience. I think that's the coolest part of it all.
Exactly. Come on down, because it is really some of the best times.
We'll see you there.
Perfect. Thank you, Jesse. Go ahead and stick around
Thanks,
real
guys.
quick. I got a couple questions for you, and then we'll let you go free. Thank you for your time, man.
All right, thanks, y'all.
The recording has stopped.
Oh.